AIs can be great for a lot of reasons, but you have to have a fail-safe because technology can be used for very bad things. We are one deep fake away from World War III.
Already there's hundreds of fake accounts of me. I get emails from people saying that their grandma thinks that I'm working for her and the grandma's already sent thousands of dollars. I can do literally nothing about that except every so often remind people to watch out for scams. This is a voicemail that an AI left. I want to be very, very clear. This sounds exactly like me. I've never said these words in my life.
Hello, Ryan here.
Welcome to this episode of Bourbon of Proof, where we interview those who have been both successful at law and life. And today we have back on Mr. Ryan Stygar. Ryan, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me back. This is fun and loving Austin.
But is it really you or is it the AI, Ryan?
I guess there's really no way to tell. We're going to have to figure out some kind of safety word or maybe a question that only the real attorney Ryan and not the AI could answer.
Yeah, so Ryan's been the victim of an AI scam where people have dubbed his voice to try to steal money from people, which we're going to get into.
Yeah, well, I'm still getting over it. It's pretty freaky.
Yeah, I know you're fired up about it. But speaking about fired up, we're going to take a little detour from bourbon on this episode, and we're going to do Ryan's big into healthy living. And I mean, this doesn't seem very healthy to me, the energy drinks, but we're going to...
They're probably not that healthy, to be totally honest, but it is healthier than all the alcohol I was drinking. So we're just baby steps.
Does this have medicinal effects? Because I'm certain whiskey has medicinal.
It's yerba mate, and I'm told yerba mate is good for you. So maybe this is going to add some antioxidants or something.
All right, well, let's
do this. So
you serve me, sir.
I'm going to serve you first my favorite flavor. This is a vintage, where's the camera here? This is a vintage 2024 Raspberry Clean. I've not been sponsored by them. I just love their stuff.
Would you like to be sponsored by them?
Yeah, that would be great. But the thing is, I buy so much of their stuff. I think they want to keep me as a customer.
Man, I've had this before. My wife gets sent all these energy drinks to her, like every day to our house. I've had the yerba. I don't remember.
How do you like that?
I mean, I love it, but I prefer whiskey.
That is fair, but you know.
I actually wear this shirt for you. This is one of my old Captain America shirts, and he's saying here, say no to drugs.
That is hilarious. Well, the thing is, I'm California sober, so I actually do say yes to drugs in that regard. But no, you know, my story briefly was about 2.5 years ago, I was drinking 4 or 5 big heavy pours a night, like filling up a glass like this of whiskey.
Yeah.
And I had a high tolerance, so I thought, well, I'm not an alcoholic. Like, it's not affecting my life. It's not affecting my work. I don't even get drunk. The problem was I was getting really unhealthy. Like, I was getting really overweight. I was going up a waist size. I saw my face on that first Dr. Phil appearance, and I looked like the Kool-Aid man. Like,
did you see Dr. Phil's face on the Dr. Phil appearance you had?
Yes, I saw his face. Yeah. And honestly, back when I was peak drinking, I don't know which was worse. But that was when I was like, I'm doing too much. And that's when I kind of went cold turkey. And since I quit alcohol 2.5 years ago, I think I've had maybe 16 drinks over the course of
3 of them were on your last Bourbon of Proof episode.
Yeah, you pumped my numbers pretty high
But we had a pickle whiskey, which didn't really count.
The pickle whiskey was the one where I was like, you know what? I'm never going back. If this is what's waiting for me on the other side, I'm just going to stick with my energy drinks.
My God.
But it's been great. You know, I went down a shirt size, down a waist size, and I just have more energy in the day. You know, some people can drink responsibly and be temperate, and it's just one of those things where I had to man up and say, I'm a glutton with this stuff. I need to just stay away from it.
And now we're on to energy drinks. This one's pretty good.
Yeah, this is my favorite. I'll have one of these in the morning because you don't get the sour stomach from coffee. I like the bubbles, and
I do too. I don't drink
sipping.
much coffee at all. It's usually I'll drink one energy drink in the morning with breakfast, and that's it.
Yeah, that's the rock star lifestyle.
But I can't do this late. If I drink an energy drink late, I'm like shaking, I can't sleep.
You know, I've heard that happens to people. I think I'm just at the point of my consumption where I can have one at 5 to like power through emotion or something I need to get done for the next day and then fall asleep just fine. But again, I'm California sober. So in the event of an emergency, I've got some gummies that work just fine for that.
The gummies always are fail-safe. But you're probably too young, but remember the movie Spaceballs?
Yeah, I know Spaceballs.
Of course you do. He knows Spaceballs.
I'm surrounded by
Star
assholes,
Wars.
Bob.
No, you know how they drink oxygen out of a can?
Yeah.
I would love to get to an episode where we just have like different flavors of oxygen that people just huff.
You know, I know they sell that. I know there's a company
No.
that's canning little pieces of Canadian air, and I know it exists, and I know they're selling it in China. I don't know if it was just a novelty or if they're still around, but they did do that.
I mean, they do. I've seen oxygen bars.
It would be cool to have a total spread, you know, have like a air of the world, you know, and you can have Canada, you can have pristine beaches, but also throw LA in there just for shits.
Just for
See if
shits
people
and
can identify.
So I want to talk to you about the ASM, because we went through your journey as from firefighter to worker advocate in the first episode. It was almost maybe a year ago when we filmed, but not that long, probably.
I want to say it was February.
Wow, so not that long.
Well, we did
8 months.
February, and then I came again with you and Rob Bonta.
Yes.
So
You're
third time's a
co-hosting.
charm.
Third time's
There
a
we go.
charm. No, but I think what you're doing with Working Class, you know, you have your show. So tell everybody about the show that you have, first of all, so that because you're launching that now. How many episodes are you in? 10,
Oh
12?
gosh, we're in maybe 20 episodes. And here's the thing with Working Class. My ultimate goal for this show, it's fun. If you follow it, you're going to watch it evolve over time. My ultimate goal for the show is to highlight the real life experiences of working people and what their struggles are, not from some talking head on the media telling you what people are going through, but their own voices. But to get there, we're starting off by just bringing in friends, influencers, people I admire to talk about their theories about life, work, our relationship with work, burnout, what's going to happen with the way we're treating working people right now. So we're 20 episodes into that intro part. And what we're going to do in the coming seasons that I'm very excited about is bring on a working class person and talk about their life, you know. So there'll be an episode, and instead of the episode saying, "Oh, Attorney Ryan and Bob," it's going to be Attorney Ryan and firefighter, Attorney Ryan and garbage man, Attorney Ryan and construction worker, and it'll be a chance to highlight what their day-to-day is like. And ultimately, I hope it'll be something akin to Dirty Jobs. You know, what was so cool about that show is you had the chance to step into the shoes of another person and say, what's it like working in a 110-degree day on a Texas oil field? What is that really like? And I think that captured a lot of people's imagination, and more important, I think it triggered some empathy in them to see what other people go through just to put their food on the table.
That should be a requirement for politicians to actually serve their constituents by sitting in their actual work jobs.
I think every member of Congress should spend a year just waiting tables before they get in there. Like, you know,
I like this.
I think, in a weird way, I think that is going to put them in the right mindset because, you know, the tipped minimum wage hasn't gone up since 1994. I think it's still legal to pay $2.13 an hour in some states. Now, yeah, it's true that you have to supplement it with tips, and with tips it has to be at least the federal minimum wage, but still the employee is basically taking a piece of their tips and giving it to the employer so the employer can give it back to them to meet that minimum wage obligation. And I don't understand how any member of Congress can say that almost 30 years after that law was established, they expect a working class person to raise a family and at least pay rent in a small apartment. No one's asking for lifestyles of the rich and famous. They just want to pay their rent and have their groceries paid. And I think that if every member of Congress had to deal with 8 tables, your buddy didn't show up to work, everyone's demanding, Karen in table 5 thinks her Diet Coke's the most important thing in the world, and just running. And all of that hard work on your feet to make maybe, what, $100 for the day if you're lucky? I think Congress would function very differently if they really understood what their constituents go through.
You know, we could all have that hope. But let's do another pour as we
Let's
get into
do
the
this,
next
man. You want to shake up the flavors?
Yeah, dude, I want to try it all. I thought that's what we were doing.
Hell yeah, man.
Come on.
All right, we're going to start with my second favorite flavor, and that's that green one.
All right.
Right there.
What's a sour apple or something like this?
That's actually a better idea.
Ugh.
So prepare to be disappointed. This is lemon lime.
I've been prepared to be
Again,
disappointed on every pour.
This is a 2024 as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know your notes.
Yeah, man.
This is aged, what, 6 days?
If we're lucky, yeah.
This one smells better. I like
Cheers, brother.
I like this one better.
You know, when I really want to party, I'll put a splash of cranberry in this one.
You're wild.
Yeah, sometimes I
Boy,
do.
you wild.
I still party.
Yeah. One thing that I always, we talk politics here and there, and I think you see both of our social media feeds, you can see how we feel about issues, but I think the wage gap is probably what's going to cripple society the most in the United States, and people aren't protecting for it right now.
Yeah.
Especially with innovation and artificial intelligence, what we're going to talk about in this episode is the people at the top are going to get wealthier and wealthier, but it's going to crush people that are working class. And if you don't have a cure for that wage gap, it's going to be devastating.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the people who are currently absorbing most of the benefits of American government, American tax policy, just the American economy in general, they're very short-sighted because, if you talk to them, they'll say, yeah, America first, I want to make America great. This needs to be the powerhouse of the world.
Make America great. You should coin that.
Yeah, maybe I should put it on a hat. Bright color so people notice it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a good idea.
Stay away from blue, though. You don't want blue.
No one wants blue.
Very aggressive
What
color.
are we, woke? Come on, Bob. But the problem with that is to have a sustainable, truly prosperous, functional economy that innovates and creates things better, faster, cheaper all the time. You need cash flowing at all levels of government and all levels of the private sector. And you don't get that when you have all your money getting swollen at the top and stuck in tax-advantaged accounts, sometimes not even in the US. That's not functional capital. And when BlackRock gets all excited and says, oh, we have $20 trillion in assets under management, or oh, Elon Musk has $230 billion, what's happening with that money? It's not going into research and development like it's supposed to, Fun fact.
It's going to quote unquote a charitable trust, which nobody sees or it's committed for years for the tax deductions.
Exactly. And that's what really frustrates me is all of that capital is so much more useful in the hands of working class people because they go to the store and they buy deodorant, toilet paper, food, electronics. If they're doing well, they buy cars. And that's how you build a really good industrialized modern economy. And God forbid you have an emergency like, I don't know, a global pandemic. Because of that big, strong demand side economics you had before the emergency, you have the infrastructure and manufacturing capacity to respond to it. You don't end up like we had at the tail end of the Trump administration where we were essentially begging other countries for masks because we didn't have the domestic capacity we used to. That's a scary situation. And I'm not saying that happened because of billionaires hoarding wealth. I'm saying it's a side effect. Ultimately, we need to figure out, this is the last thing I wanted to share here. This highlights the problem. Boeing has its 33,000 workers on strike right now. Part of what they're fighting for is in 2014, they lost their pensions. It was a defined benefit plan that gives you secure retirement for life. In 2014, Boeing switched them to a 401k, which, okay, that's standard, but ultimately the risk falls on the employee. It's a higher risk retirement. Why is the Boeing employee movement so upset about that? Since Boeing made that change, they saw their real retirement savings drop about 40%. They just can't keep up. Meanwhile, Boeing, since 2014, since eliminating workers' pensions, Boeing has spent $39 billion on share buybacks, pumping its own stock.
Wow.
They did not spend it developing new weapon systems to keep our service members safe.
They
did not spend it on the planes. They didn't spend it on R&D. They didn't spend it on finding a more efficient fuel or better way to do anything. They didn't do any of the stuff that capitalism promises us. They put it in tax-advantaged accounts to make stock prices go up. They pumped a fucking stock. That's not innovation. And you know what's even worse is on top of that $39 billion that they spent since eliminating workers' pensions, they spent another $20 billion paying out dividends to shareholders. Because this is how the executives get rich. This is how the shareholder class gets more and more wealth. The moral argument is one thing. Having people live richer than God while we have so many homeless and so many people struggling, there is a fundamentally moral aspect of that. But if the moral aspect doesn't move your heart and soul, think of the national security aspect. Where is your domestic production? How do you keep the leading edge to compete on a global scale? Where is our R&D? Is our consumer class in a place where they're able to innovate, where they're going to be strong and healthy enough to step up if the nation has a great emergency? Like we're about to get hit by Hurricane Milton right after Helene. We need a strong domestic economy with people who are doing well enough to help each other out when we need it. So if the moral aspect of the wealth gap doesn't move you, please consider the economic and national security implications as well.
Both are so logical, you think that people would agree with it, but no.
It's logical, and I would hope that, but short-term greed is a very powerful drug, Bob. It is a powerful drug.
Speaking of powerful drugs, give me another pour of
Heck
this, 'cause
yeah,
I'm
man.
liking this. I could get into some clean living for a couple hours,
Yeah, dude. Well,
maybe.
it's a lot of caffeine in these. Gotta admit,
How much
I haven't
caffeine
done
is
this
in here?
before. 160 milligrams a can.
Okay. So my wife's there. She's been formulating a healthy energy drink geared towards women. So we've been doing a lot of taste tests at home. There we get bringing other products that we taste, and she's big on formulating something that tastes really good.
Cheers.
That's really healthy.
I
Cheers.
love that.
Oh, it's really. I mean,
Do you have a working name for it yet?
It's called Viva Lush.
Eva Lush?
Viva Lush.
Viva Lush. You know, in fairness, I think these are marketed to women too. But
Well, there's two fine ladies drinking on this couch right now.
I see two
Oh,
fine
this is
ladies.
peachy. I'm not a good peachy guy.
I'll be honest, that's my least favorite
Yeah,
flavor, but it
nope.
sells. So I figured, hey, maybe Bob will like it.
You know why? Because like I had a peach schnapps when I was a teenager, and it almost ruined me.
That's what it tastes like. It's got that kind of like peach syrup flavor.
Yeah.
It's like a artificial peach flavor. That's why it's not so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Clean. They're not sponsoring me, so I'm not going to lie and say this is good.
But what's yerba? Like, what's the sparkling yerba made? What's a yerba?
All right, I am going to answer this with no information and
Ooh, I like
entirely based on vibes. I think it's some kind of tea leaf.
You know, I get that vibe too.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a healthy green tea-ish
Well,
type.
watch someone be like it's a root or it's a plant, and you guys are spreading misinformation.
You'd think they'd have like a sassafras if it was a root, but there's no sassafras.
Isn't
part.
sassafras crazy expensive?
Sassafras, that's actually how they make root beer, right? Isn't that the root
Wait,
beer?
sassafras is a tree.
I think it's a root.
I'm pretty sure it's a
I don't know.
old wooden ship that was used during the Civil War times.
How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
Every
I
fucking
know you
day,
do.
Bob.
I never do. I don't know how that's like.
Are you serious?
I never do. We had this yesterday. You brought up the Roman Empire. We were just talking.
Did I? Oh my God.
Yes, you did.
I'm
You
such
just
a
randomly
dork.
brought up something about that they did this in Rome. I was like, oh my God! Like Ryan does
Bob,
actually think
I'm
about the
so
Roman.
sorry. That's like a thing in my friend group. Like people know, and I'm not even conscious of it. It's a disability I can't control. They'll be like, "Oh, what'd Ryan say? Oh, he said some shit about the Byzantine Empire." Like, what the fuck? He talked about the fall of Rome. He seemed upset about it. Like,
He's still worried about it. All right, let's get into the AI stuff, because you were victim, and this is one thing. Like, because I'm in the room building a lot of technology, and I speak a lot to our consumer groups, into the legislature, and I've been telling them for a long time. Like AI can be great for a lot of reasons, but you have to have a fail-safe, because technology can be used for very bad things.
Yeah.
We are one deep fake away from World War III every single time.
Yeah.
I mean, it can happen, and you fell victim to it. And I think it should be a criminal penalty and not a civil penalty, because it's not going to stop somebody that's judgment-proof just starting World War III because they're going to get fined $1,000.
yeah, that's worst case scenario is someone creates an AI of the American president declaring war and launching missiles, kind of like I don't remember what that movie was. What was that movie where there was
Mars Attacks?
Was that it?
I don't know, but I love that movie.
Oh,
I'm
wait,
just saying
no,
it.
it was the one where like there was a computer bug that told the United States that the Russians
War
had
Games.
launched all their missiles, and so the U.S. was going to launch theirs.
Was it War Games?
It might have been. It was old.
Yeah, Dabney
movie.
Coleman, that's who it was. It was
Well, that's the risk you highlight, is all someone has to do is create a video of the U.S. president saying, I'm declaring war on so-and-so, and we're launching nuclears right now, and it's chaos. But on a smaller scale, what we have is scammers finding well-known business people or influencers and finding people close enough to them to build their trust and then scamming them. So already there's hundreds of fake accounts of me on TikTok, and I'll hear once in a while people saying that they lost $500, $600. I get emails from people saying that their grandma thinks that I'm working for her, and the grandma's already sent thousands of dollars to the scammer. Bob, I can do literally nothing about that except every so often remind people to watch out for scams. So anyway, do you want to hear this?
I would love it. So somebody started, there was an account called Planet Fun Hob, and they were trying to be mean instead of Planet Fun Bob.
Oh my God.
They're trying to sell crypto to people through like DM.
Are you kidding me?
No, but I was very entertained by it.
That sucks. Well, what sucks about that is you are known for being a kind of cutting edge tech guy.
Yeah.
So if someone who didn't know you intimately well, but knew you well enough to know you were into tech and a pretty savvy investor, they would get that message and think, oh, it's Bob. I wouldn't normally do this, but I trust Bob.
Yeah, let me invest in crypto.
And then what happens is they get ripped off, and then that person thinks, I don't trust Bob anymore. And I'm going to tell everyone I don't trust Bob. And that's why this is scary.
Can you play it to your microphone?
Yeah, I'm going to play it in the mic. So here's the quick background story on this. I was in Hawaii on vacation and having a nice morning, and then I get a bunch of frantic texts from a guy I knew saying, hey, I have a problem with the investment. What the fuck? What investment are you talking about? He was like, oh my God, like, what are you talking about? I invested in your cases. I was like, that's illegal. You can't do that. I would never ask you to do that. And he sent me this. This is a voicemail that an AI left. I want to be very, very clear. This sounds exactly like me. I've never said these words in my life.
Hello, Ryan here. I'm reaching out as regards to the investment. I want to clarify that the funds you've invested cannot be withdrawn before the conclusion of the case. This is because settlements and payments are dependent on the settlement bonus, which is only determined at the end of the case. However, John, I can send a revised version of the paperwork stating clearly the needs for more funding. I understand you're not okay with the amount being requested. We can work with an amount that sits well with you. It's all about understanding, John, and I am open to that. If you require to pull out of the investment, we can certainly explore the possibility of revising the agreement to address this need. If that solution doesn't align with your preferences and you'd prefer to withdraw from the case, we completely understand. In that event, we would need some time to process the withdrawal and return your funds. Please rest assured that your investment is secure and your money will be refunded in due course.
Bro.
So I feel nauseous every time I listen to that. For the main reason it feels so nauseous is you can kind of hear the story when you listen to that. You can hear that the victim who got scammed is clearly panicking, maybe sent some emails to the scammer, and they're saying, oh, your funds can't be withdrawn until... But that AI is so interesting because it had inflection. It had a little bit of emotion. It had a part in there where it almost sounds like it swallowed, you know, like sometimes people will swallow to clear their throat before speaking. If you know me very intimately well, you know I don't talk like that.
Yeah.
If you know me just somewhat and you know, oh, Ryan has a good reputation in the business community, he's honest, I know he wins cases, and he invited me to invest. It's my lucky day. If you're that level of this, you'll fall for this. But I do want to make it clear what this AI scammer person is propositioning is illegal. I'm not paying out settlement bonuses based on non-lawyers throwing money into a case. I would get disbarred. That's not something I can do.
So what they did is they just stripped so much audio of your voice and dumped it into the AI to do that, and then probably integrated with like Slide VM, where you could slide right into somebody's voicemail, so they're leaving them voice notes or voicemails with your voice.
That makes sense. So I actually wasn't aware of that. You're saying they can send just the voicemail without the call?
Yeah, so there's something called Slide VM where you can leave a voicemail without it actually ringing. And I've been building the bridge with me, so I can do that because I've dubbed my own voice to leave voice notes for my clients without them having to pick up. So you can keep client communication on scale and those other things. So that's
I love that.
It's actually great for like
used for good. That's amazing.
Used for good, and it's because I want my clients to be happy to know that they're top of mind all the time, and I just don't have the ability to talk to people all day. So I'd rather slide into their VM.
But now. Picture this, Twilight Zone. This is the fear of AI, is now someone, I mean, Bob, you're high profile. There's scammers who are looking at ways to use your face, name, reputation to make a quick buck at your expense. I mean, it happened to me. Yeah. What they could do is make a script, basically hitting up, if they find a way to scrape your data and find your followers or people who work with you, say, hey, your case is going really, really well. We've got a great settlement for you. We just need you to send $200 for this processing fee or something, and it'll be refunded when you get your... The average client will fall for that if they hear your voice, because they already hired you because they trust you. And that's what's so upsetting to this. It is this complete violation of trust, where we spend our whole lives building our reputation, and in a moment it can destroy your reputation. And even worse than that is that's just what happened to you. These people who may not have that money to spare. The person who got me dropped 10K.
Wow.
I mean, for some people, that's a Hail Mary pass. I'm struggling, life is hard. I really trust Bob. He left me this voicemail. I don't really understand it, but I trust Bob. I'm going to send him my last 10K, and hopefully that fixes things for me. And now it's gone with no recourse. That's a nightmare situation. So I feel like
Imagine what
now,
they do to seniors, because there's so many senior scams.
Yeah, and here, I was thinking of it this morning. I think we're at the beginning of Jurassic Park, and AI is a Tyrannosaurus. You know, it's this amazing scientific achievement that can do incredible things, but if we are not careful, we're going to have a situation where that Tyrannosaurus turns on us. And we're already seeing the little rumbles. The drink would make the ripples when the Tyrannosaurus is coming close. This little AI stunt is the ripples. So we need to pay attention to that and figure out, how do we control this?
As Jeff Goldblum says in that movie, life finds a way.
AI finds a way.
I wrote a fiction book about artificial intelligence in like 2013.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Wonderful Life, and the premises of the book is when artificial intelligence creates artificial intelligence, and then you have no control over what happens after that. So,
wow,
it's where the singularity, essentially, I made it where it meets the rapture, where the premise of the book was that the artificial intelligence thought that the belief in God was so illogical that it did not program the new artificial intelligence to believe in God. It ended up being the only way to defeat the artificial intelligence.
So the non-belief in God caused it to abandon some of the like Judeo-Christian moral norms, where thou shalt not kill is a really good one. I'm a big fan of that one.
Yeah, but that's also logical too. Wow. But that's where you have like, it wasn't logical to believe in God, and it ended up being their downfall through.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was just an interesting story, because I was sitting in church one day, and I'm big into technology, and I was just reading about the singularity, and then the gospel was about the rapture, and I was like, oh man, this would be a really cool concept to marry these two things.
You did get some divine inspiration that day.
Yeah, sure did.
Where is this book? Is it something
you can buy it on Amazon?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's
Wonderful
been there for
Life
a long
by
time.
Bob Simon?
Yeah, I had my buddy.
Check that out.
My brother and I came up with the concept. Our buddy that is a writer wrote the book, and it was our story. We created it in every chapter too. We would reconvene and figure out what things we had to tweak.
Oh, that's fun. I'm going to check that out, man.
It was just a fun project. We're like, shit, we'll just write a book.
I love that, dude.
It's like we're starting a video game.
I didn't know. Are we cracking open to the next one?
Yeah,
and I'm going to show the last one.
So I have, I have my AI bot that I've trained, and I asked it, who is Ryan Stygar? Let's see how it comes up with the answers. This should be my voice. Let's see. That you described. Ryan Stygar is an employment lawyer known for his strong advocacy for workers' rights. He has built a following on social media under the handle Attorney Ryan. Before becoming a lawyer, Ryan was a firefighter, which likely contributes to his passion for protecting workers' rights. You have interacted with Ryan on social media and find him to be insightful and unafraid to take strong stances on issues he believes in. Ryan has a good sense of humor, including a story about how he got his social media handle Attorney Ryan. Oh, and then I think timed out, but
that is funny. I will
that's because it's in my mindset. Because
that is the nicest way to say Ryan is an asshole I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to share his strong opinions.
There's actually, I have a personality of my artificial intelligence where you can make it like sassy.
Oh, that's funny.
But I had to only give it to certain people because it gets a little mean, very sarcastic.
You had a roast
Yes.
recently.
Yes.
That went well.
It went well.
I would love if you did a roast and had the AI roast you.
So that's a
have your own AI get up there and roast the shit out of you, Bob.
So I deepfaked myself for a couple legal talks that I've done recently, and I put in my avatar. That was in Utah last week.
Nice.
And I played this in Utah, and it's like, here's my artificial intelligence, and this is how you can run rogue. And it was like, hi, I'm Bob Simon. I'm retiring from practicing personal injury law, and I'm doing defense work, and I'm going to defend all your lying, scamming, cheating plaintiffs.
Oh,
and it was like,
my God.
It's like I've stopped drinking. I'm embracing my tattoos. And I'm a big Cowboys fan. Like, it just went into all these things. It was very funny.
That's too far.
Yeah,
when it starts messing up your team alliances.
Yeah, it's too far.
It's too far.
No, but this is like a perfect example of like stuff that you can use these platforms for. And if there's no fail-safe, what they're supposed to, any AI company is supposed to have, because the liability should fall on them.
Yeah.
They have to be able to fact check and have safeguards so that you have to verify who you are if you're using it.
Yeah.
So whatever platform they're using for it, they had to have created it, or else that AI company's in big trouble. And I'm sure they could trace back because they had to have the integration with Slide VM to push.
I'd love if they could do some kind of tracing, because it's not like we can expect them to examine the content of every piece of AI that's being published. First of all, there's privacy concerns that feels kind of un-American anyway, but that's also a big burden on them. But if they can just trace suspicious behavior, like, hey, this AI is spamming 1,000 people every 3 seconds with the same message, that's probably something
Yeah,
to
but you
look
can't
into,
build something
know?
off somebody's voice and likeness unless you have authorization to do so.
That's the other thing, is some kind of proof. But you know what? In addition to the voicemail, the scammers had taken logos from my company and put them on some legal work, and it looks legitimate. And they forged my signature, and they forged another attorney's signature who works at my firm, and they put both on there. So, and I don't know, when I appeared for the Dr. Phil show, what they had me do both times is you sign a release, and it's Dr. Phil. People lose their shit on Dr. Phil, so they've needed this. You sign the release, but they tape you signing it, and then you hold it up and you say, hey, I understand this release, which is really smart on their part. The problem is, even that wouldn't help you with AI if you have a good deepfake. And so how does, from every level, how does a small person who got scammed get protected? How does a big production like Dr. Phil ensure that their stuff is enforced? Like, at scale, this presents a massive problem.
Yeah.
I know you're in front of me right now.
Do you?
I hope.
What if I was a hologram?
What if I'm the only thing that exists and this is all a hallucination, Bob?
The Truman Show.
Yeah.
No, so like last year at Mardi Gras, we had a company called Proto, and they have these hologram boxes. So they have the ability, you can beam anybody up anywhere around the world.
That's incredible.
And just put them into, they look like there's 3D, it's interactive. And I've been to their studio up in Van Nuys. What we're working on doing now is imagine you could have Attorney Ryan in a hologram box. Imagine Attorney Ryan loaded up with your likeness, your voice, and everything, and just ask Attorney Ryan a question. They could just pop into your desk.
Just don't make it dance or anything like that.
You'd love to dance. Are you kidding me?
That'd
That'd actually be part of the thing.
Just don't make it dance.
I could actually be the best dancer. But for the use case, it's good. Imagine loading it up with all the case law, learning every language, and putting in legal aid clinics to be able to help people at lightning speed, right? That's how you can use artificial intelligence and technology for good.
It would be. It would be.
But it's just not, it doesn't make people a lot of money, so why are they going to do it?
It again, with the Jurassic Park metaphor, I think the ethics of AI is a few years behind the abilities of AI. Like, we're developing the abilities before figuring out, oh my gosh, what should be the rules of these abilities.
This happened when we came out with the internet, right? Law was trying to catch up to regulate it, to write laws to protect it, and they still can't figure it out.
They still can't figure it out. Like one thing that I saw that's quite interesting is Gavin Newsom actually vetoed a bill that I thought he might support. It was that AI safety bill in California. At the same time, I don't know if it's been successful, but there's been a push by some of the women caucus in Congress to have AI protection because, as you may be aware, AI is being used to create pornographic deepfakes of people without consent. So what I think is, there's an old saying that in the world of tech, porn leads the way. It could be that the protections around deepfakes for sexually explicit content set the standard for what the rules of consent and safety are going to look like. That's just my prediction.
I like that.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, it sounds like you got to do a lot of research to figure it out, though, Ryan.
Maybe someone else. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. It sounds like a weird rabbit hole.
We went down a WikiFeed rabbit hole yesterday, so why not? So do you have any other flavors? I think we got one more left.
Oh, that's just raspberry. Yeah, you can keep that one.
Oh, thanks, man. Actually, I'm going to use this for tomorrow.
I got to be honest. I think my lips are sweating. That was a lot of caffeine all at once.
You're kidding? You had me drink that much caffeine?
You're fine. You had a couple of downers before you got here. I already had a coffee. I might be in trouble.
This sounds like your average. I mean, okay. You're going to mess up my life with this. I'm tracking my heart rate on my Apple Watch right now.
Is it going up?
It's still good. No, it's
You're
still
good?
Yeah, it's still good. Around 65. It's fine.
I think I'm cruising at a solid 80 right now. I feel the jitters.
80 is a good way to live, being 80. If I'm on a plane, it's like 120 to 130.
Oh,
I just
God.
don't fly well. Well, Ryan, thanks for coming on this episode of Bourbon of Proof. Again, people can find you at Attorney Ryan anytime.
At Attorney Ryan on TikTok and Instagram. I'm at Ryan Stygar on YouTube. YouTube's really fun. We put some long form content on there. And of course, Working Class with Attorney Ryan, which, Bob, thanks for helping put that on.
Yeah, and you can find that pretty much anywhere on the internet these days.
But if I leave you a voicemail, it ain't me. If I leave you a voicemail asking you for money, it ain't me.
Yeah,
Just be very clear. Okay.
And if I leave you a voicemail asking for money, it might be me.
It might be.
Yeah, but we have a safe word. which I'll give you after air. So if you have any questions, reach out to us, because this is an interesting topic. Reach out to Ryan, because I want to see what happens with this. I want to see if the FBI is getting involved, or somebody with intelligence to try to figure this out.
I'm a witness, but they're not really interested in talking to me. The actual victim has to come forward. The good news is it was $10,000 via wire. So it's a wire fraud issue more than an AI. Yeah, so that'll help.
Step it up.
Yeah.
All right. So what, I guess I have to pick my, not a bourbon of
What
proof,
is your...
my yerba of truth.
Your yerba of truth.
Yerba of
I like
truth.
that. What's your yerba of truth, Bob?
I like the green one. I like.
Really?
Yeah, that was very.
I respect that. I respect that.
But I'm a big raspberry guy, so the raspberry will likely be my favorite. So I haven't tasted that one yet. But I like raspberry, and then usually a good like orange.
They need
like
a
orange
good,
crush.
Like an orange crush flavor would be awesome.
Yeah.
A tangerine orange crush or something.
That would be my go-to. Well, thanks for this episode of Bourbon of Proof. I enjoyed getting on uppers rather than downers, and hopefully has evened me out.
It's a fun change of pace. Thanks, Bob. This was great.
Thanks, Ryan.